I found The Silence of the Lambs to be an amazing movie. The performances were fantastic. Anthony Hopkins terrified me, especially during his escape scene. You really feel for those 50 something officers that were searching for him. And Jodie Foster was just everything. I meant to say this yesterday. Sorry for this being late. But I raised my hand for multiple classic noir characters that reminded me of Clarice, and one of them was Holly. And I don't believe anyone said anything about it, but the reason I personally think uh, she reminded me of Holly was because they are both kind of put in unfamiliar territory. Um, like Holly, who is an author who's written mystery westerns and crime books, it is reasonable to assume he probably based it on real life stuff and believes it will all play out like in his books that he's written and will be exactly like it is in America. And it doesn't at all. Similar to Clarice in this situation where she's done all the readings, went to school for it, and done the training simulations, and she has been led to believe that this is how it's going to play out, and it does not at all. I also thought Anthony Heed, I hope I pronounced that right, who plays Dr. Chilton, was perfect as a person who just sucks as a human being. I really hated his character. I know we touched on this in class yesterday, but I don't know if I necessarily wanted Hannibal to win because he's a murdering, manipulative psychopath, but I wanted him to beat Dr. Chilton, which made the ending very satisfying for me, even if it's a terrifying one. I also thought I had like the most perfect score for a movie ever. The cinematography was great, and the editing was awesome. It did a good job of keeping the audience out of the loop and keeping them guessing. I wanted to focus on one main point, and it's about Clarice's relationship with characters. There's a couple, like the father-daughter relationship she has with Jack Crawford, but I want to talk about the one that she specifically has with Hannibal Lecter. This scene is a little more than halfway throughout the film after Hannibal is moved from the facilities and talks to the senator. Hannibal begins by complimenting her bluff that she told him and telling her she needs to have more fun when she criticizes him for the lies he told the senator. He then starts leading her in the direction she needs to go in order to solve the case, but does not directly give her an answer, wanting her to solve it on her own. All these points towards the mentor and student relationship they form. Clarice always goes to him for help whenever she has a problem, but like the good teacher that Hannibal is, he just gives her hints and or advice towards the answer, trusting in his students' intelligence to solve it on their own, while also getting Clarice to think outside the box and understands that every detail has a meaning and could lead to her to the killer. Then we get this switch to that of the therapist and patient relationship, and we also get another look into how Hannibal can manipulate and get inside the minds of someone with personal information. Every time it cuts over to Hannibal, the camera is like slowly zooming in on his face until the bars are no longer in frame, signaling that this is his territory and no bars can hold him when you are in it, while also representing he slowly gained the truth of her trauma and why she wants to solve this case so badly. It also seems like Clarice is fully focused on him and unable to focus on anything else, because Hannibal is not allowing her to, with his unblinking stare in this scene as if he was a predator observing his prey. We also get a slow zoom in on Clarice, which could represent the beginning of her resolving this trauma. At the end, he gives her papers back and touches her finger. I don't think this was necessarily in a romantic way, but more of a go get him, kid, pat on the back type of way, as if to reaffirm her she can do this by herself now. It's also interesting how, from both characters' point of view shots throughout the scene, they are both behind the bars. Hannibal in a literal sense, and Clarice in a metaphorical sense, because of the trauma that holds her back from her father's death and the death of the lambs that she witnessed as a child. And it also could represent how she is trapped in her career right now as a soon-to-be FBI officer because of her gender. That's what I think of the scene. It's one of my favorites in the movie. There's one more thing I want to talk about before this ends. I don't have a fully developed thought for this yet, but obviously one of the major themes of the movie is that the world is against Clarice because she is a woman in a man's world. But then our major antagonist, Buffalo Bill, is a man wanting to transform into a woman. I think that's a really interesting paradox I hope we can touch on in our next class. That's all I wanted to say, and thank you.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.